where, let's say, a woman that had an abusive alcoholic husband, her feelings from that is equal to a soldier in war. You know, there's no measurement on how it affects the person. So
What's going on, guys? Mike Ashabi here, and welcome to another episode of the True Life Network podcast. Today, I have an awesome guest for you guys. He's a #1 best-selling author, certified recovery mentor, and a life coach. He's the founder of the Hero Project, which has helped thousands of people break free from addictions, false dependencies, fears, doubts, and anxieties, transforming his own life being sober and clean from July 14th, 2006. Today, he's committed to helping other people be the hero of their own life. Today, I bring to you Adam Jablin. Adam, thank you for joining me.
thanks, Mike. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing amazing. I appreciate you jumping out here.
Yo, thanks for having me. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Where would you like to begin?
So Adam, I want to jump into your story a little bit because
Sure.
I know that you had tremendous adversity, going through addiction and alcoholism, and I actually faced something very similar too. But I kind of want to dive deeper into your story and how it propelled you to be where you are today.
Sure. So I began drinking and experimenting with drugs at an early age. The thing that made me feel insecure and awkward at a young age was I was the fat kid. I was the heavy kid. My dad
You don't
used to
strike me as the fat kid.
well, it fuels you to change. My dad called me El Chubbo. I was born. I really was raised in the '80s, and there was a movie back then called The Goonies, where this kid Chunk would do the Chunk Shuffle, and my friends would ask me to do it, and I hated that feeling. We moved down from New Jersey to Boca Raton, Florida, when I was young, and down here you can have your shirt off every day, be at the pool, be at the beach. I hated it. I was sweating. I was heavy, and I remember I made this decision that I wasn't going to look or feel like this anymore. And my mom stopped buying me McDonald's every day after school, and I started having grilled chicken breasts and apples, and she'd buy me Muscle Fitness magazine, Flex magazine, and I would pretend like I was Rocky Balboa, and then I ended up going to the gym. But what happened in 4 short years was I went from being the fattest kid in the class to the best built kid in the class. I went from kids asking me, how many Oreos did you eat last night, to, yo man, how much can you bench? The girls liked me. Everything was different on the outside, everything, except the way I felt inside. I felt insecure, I felt afraid, I still felt like that fat kid that was gonna make you laugh with me and not at me, the class clown. But with the muscles and the skill set, I was able to hang out with the older kids. And there's always something about older kids, when you're young. They have more freedom, they have more power, they just seem cooler. And they were experimenting, and all I could tell you was they passed whatever they passed, and I took a sip, Mike, and it fixed something inside of me that I didn't know was broken. Like, it fixed it. So all of a sudden, that class clown, scared kid, little fat kid, went away, and like somebody with more confidence and charisma came out, and it matched the outside. The insides matched the outsides. The alcohol helped me become carefree, the man, confident, all of that stuff. So for me, it clicked, what could be wrong with this stuff? And, I was the first one in high school with a fake driver's license. I went to Arizona State University because Playboy and Penthouse magazine called it the #1 party school in the country, which it was. And I dominated there, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I took this work hard, play hard mentality all the way into my business life. And it worked until it didn't work.
What do you mean?
Well, it's painful to talk about. But I started making a mess of my life. And my wife at the time hated my drinking, which made me look at pharmaceutical pills because I need something to get the edge off. Before you know it, I'm mixing the pharmaceutical pills with the drinking. And my grandmother was very, very sick, and my best friend falls in love with my sister, and that just kind of played with my head a little bit. And at this time, I like to describe it as God decided that alcohol wouldn't work anymore. Now, what I mean by that is I could drink and look wasted. I would slur my words, all of that. But I used to be able to drink, or whatever the pill, whatever the drug is, but I used to be able to take that toxin, and the fat, insecure kid with no coping mechanisms would usually shut down. Superman would come and take over. Well, now I was stuck with my thoughts. It stopped working. I could drink and drink and drink, but I still heard those thoughts. You know, what are you doing? You're 30 years old now. You're a loser. People don't act like that. You're just a muscle-bound, you know, guy with a career that's not happy. You're a fraud. You're a fake. Get your act together. It wouldn't shut up. It wouldn't shut. And that's what I mean by it stopped working. You know, thank God I was intervened and brought to the Hanley Center, a treatment center in South Florida. And in that rehab center, a profound spiritual experience happened to me, and I haven't been the same since.
So what do you think clicked when you were, you know, being intervened? What do you think it was that made you realize, okay, this is the route that I got to go. I got to get clean, and you know, I got to transform my own life and be the hero of my own life?
Truth, I fought it. You know Eckhart Tolle and The Power
Correct.
of Now and stuff like, okay. Well, not that I would ever compare myself to what really happened to him, but when I fully surrendered finally, after 9 days in treatment, a part of my ego died. It didn't come in a really euphoric way. It came in the form of a panic attack. I actually accepted for the first time, oh my God, like I'm an alcoholic and an addict. My blood pressure skyrocketed over 180. Like I was freaking out. And I was at the nurse's station. They gave me, I was looking for some sort of pill. They gave me a paper bag to breathe in. I was offended. I'm like, paper bag? You kidding me? Give me a Xanax or something. You know, paper bag. By the way, works well if you ever need to calm down. Who knew? So, and I told them, I think this is real. I think this is real. And they said, so? And I'm like, what am I going to tell my parents? What am I going to tell I'm going to tell them that I'm an alcoholic and an addict? Like they're like, just calm down. Ran to the phone. This is like 5 a.m. Call my wife at the time. I said, listen, are you sitting down? I have some really bad news. And she's like, what is it? Well, you know, what is it? She doesn't know what's going on in rehab. She thinks I got stabbed or something like that. And I said, look, I'm an alcoholic and an addict and I have to stay. And there was dead silence. And then all of a sudden I heard, ha 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 ha, I was never gonna come pick you up. I was never gonna come pick you up. Don't you see it's you? It's Adam this and Adam that. And Adam needs to go to the gym, and Adam needs to go to work, and Adam needs to make money, and Adam needs Patron, and Adam needs Xanax, and Adam. And honestly, Mike, I saw 2 of me. It's called the parallel process. Some people I experienced it in spades. And I saw one version of me that got back on the phone and said, look, bitch, get in the car, get the divorce papers ready. I'm out of here. I don't, you know what I mean? Just like angry, arrogant, mean, defensive, alcoholic addict Adam. And then I saw this other version of me, and I didn't know if I had to be poor. I didn't know if I had to wear a yarmulke. I didn't know if I had to be baptized. I didn't know if I had to wear a robe. I didn't know what this guy looked like, but I knew he was sober. And I jumped into that Adam, and I never looked back. That's what happened.
So what was that Adam like? The sober
The new
like?
one?
What was the different mentality that you had?
Open. Very, very open. If there's one gift I feel like you and I could give, like, you know, in your book, I was looking over it. I was really proud of you. Open. And when you're open, you can listen and you can learn and you can absorb other people's ideas and concepts and grow. I was closed. You know, the world is this way. You know what I mean? I go to the office to make money, Every Monday is chest and triceps. Every Tuesday is back and biceps. I eat these meals at these times. Just a closed, suffocating guy. So I think the main thing that happened to me was my heart opened up and my spirit opened up, my mind opened up, and I was ready to become somebody different.
I love how you're explaining it, that your heart opened up, your brain opened up. Personally with me, I went through a pretty traumatic experience with my ex, and before that I was constantly drinking, smoking pot, doing drugs. Like I did a lot of pills, oxys, roxys, etc. And it consumes you, right? And you don't even realize what you're doing, because I used to have a concept, for example, Xanax gives you the fuck it's, right? You don't care. You just go with the flow, right? And you really don't realize it until, you get to a certain point where you look around and you say, what is my reality, right? Where am I going? And I think personally with me, I kind of used to use it to kind of numb my own pain. Like you were saying, you were getting, made fun of like when you were younger. And with me, I just never fit in, right? Even, certain times with my family too, like I felt like I never fit in because, there were little cliques, right? And I kind of observed this in the world that, people gravitate towards cliques, right? Little boy and girl groups, what Eminem used to say. And personally, I just felt like I never belonged. And I think the reason why I was like covering it is because I never wanted to try to fit in, which I was by doing the drugs and everything else, which when I woke up, I realized, hey, I'm not here to fit in. I'm here to create, right? And be an inspiration for other people and show them by leading through example. And I'm kind of curious because I know that you're very big on helping people recover. And, that's basically your story too and your message. Because I was talking to Evan Carmichael one night. I don't know if you know who that is. Do you?
I do.
And he had this phenomenal quote. And he said, your ruin is your gift to give back to the world. So what ruins you and puts you in your all-time low and you get through it is your gift to seek out other individuals going through a similar situation and help them get through it. And I kind of want you to soak that in for a second and kind of give me your story and what you're doing now and how that kind of plays a part.
I got a little teary-eyed. I don't know. I think it's because I'm 45. I'm getting older. I don't know. I'm more in tune with my emotions. I didn't used to be this guy. Kind of hate it still. Listening to you realize who you are, that's inspiring and motivational. I hope somebody heard that, man. That was beautiful. What was the question?
So I kind of want you to take that quote and, from where you've been, right, to where you are now and what your message is and how you're trying to help people overcome the same adversity that you've been through. How does that play a role in your life today?
It's good. I'm going to steal a line from what I heard in recovery, which is, my dark past is my greatest asset. So,
I like that.
Right? My dark past is my greatest asset. So, we had fun before, and that introduction meant a lot to me. It really did, and that was amazing. And yet, I do believe in my heart, if I show off my flaws more, that's where I really connect with people. If I'm always showing off Career, the Hero Project, I did a #1 book, and these things, like you were telling me before, these things are great accomplishments, and it's not that I discount them. But the way I'm gonna really connect with another is by if they know my brokenness and how I came through the other side, that this is possible. This is what I did. And take my hand, and I'll show you the way. I don't want to be better than you. I always tell my clients, I see you looking up to me, and that's not it. We're on the same road, right? But I'm 15 years down the road. So I look back and I'm like, whoa, stop there. Make a left. Okay, now come. Whoa. You see the tripwire? It's not that I'm higher than you. I don't want them to think that I'm talking down to them. I'm down the road. So I'm trying to tell them.
I like that analogy.
Where all where all the war zones are, and to avoid the messes that I did, and usually they separate from the pain, they separate from the family drama, they separate from the faulty dependencies, the addictions, and they go on their own hero's journey, and before you know it, they're slaying the dragons of whatever that is. It could be a voice in their head of what their mom said. It could be something in business. It could be something not having a father, or having a brother that was abusive. Whatever it is, they slay the dragons. They confront it at an older age, and before you know it, they're ready to fly.
What impact does it do internally for you to be able to help people overcome these, different adversities that they're going through? Because for me, when I see somebody struggling with something that, I was personally going through, and I can actually help them, it gives me a sense of fulfillment. But I feel like even more in depth than that, I think it really triggers something for me, an emotional reaction, right? And I think that's honestly the key to fulfillment. It has to have that emotional reaction to it. So I'm kind of curious on your end, what does it do for you, and how do you continue to, take that energy and go out there and help people with your message?
So, I'm a coach, you're a coach, and I have a coach. My coach doesn't like the way I describe it, but I'm going to describe it my way and then their way. Let's say their way is, it's this altruistic, beautiful obsession to see a light go on in others' eyes. Yeah, sure, 100%. There's no doubt about that, and those are healthy words. For me, I get fucking high. That's
why it doesn't like why you describe it that way.
I see something going on in them, and the lights go on, and they're getting it, and I'm getting into it, and you start seeing what they're able to do and what they're able to create, and the whole thing is euphoric, and it's the same feeling I was chasing before. So that's the truth. There's still that part of me.
And you know what I think? I think when people start to abuse substances or even try them, right, it's because of emotions, right? Yeah. I think that there's something lacking or whatever, so they're trying to fill that void, right? And then little do you know, as you're doing it more and more, you become addicted. But then, I think it's emotions again that trigger you to realize, hey, what am I doing, right? I think that for me personally, I used to listen to a lot of hip hop, rap, and things like that, and people don't realize how impressionable we are. That's where peer pressure comes into play, right? But even more, I think society's getting brainwashed by music, in my opinion, and then it's making them think that, Russ actually talked about this. I don't know if you know who Russ is, do you?
Russ who?
The rapper.
Yes.
So
I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same person.
So he actually had a shirt that he wore one day, and it said, how much Xans and lean do you have to do before you realize you're a loser, right? Which, it's not a joke when it comes down to depression and addictions and things like that. But what he was trying to refer to were the white kids in the suburbs who hear on a rap song, and then they go ahead and try just because they want to be cool, and then little do they know, they become addicted after a while because they're trying to fit in and be cool. So I mean, what has been your take on, I think that it all starts with adolescence, right? Addictions come from adolescence, and we're trying to numb a pain. So what has been your take to work with younger people who are addicted and have the trouble of being in tune with their emotions sober? Because I think this is a big thing. Masculine energy, we don't want to seem like we're weak, so we hide our emotions, right? And then numb them with the drugs. So what have you seen with adolescents and younger people through that journey?
So this is what I've experienced. Even though they're still young, there's some form of past trauma. And trauma is very relative. They've even done a study on PTSD where, let's say, a woman that had an abusive alcoholic husband, her feelings from that is equal to a soldier in war. There's no measurement on how it affects the person. So even if it's if the child that I'm working with, the adolescent I'm working with, even if there was their mom yelling at them, clean the table, if it somehow affected their soul in a way that they feel like they're broken and bad, you got to go with it. And you got to talk to for me, you have to talk to that part of them. And at the same time, not judge. And that, for me, is, I think, where I thrive. Because I really don't judge. Because I've done it. And I get it.
Now, there's something interesting that you said there, though. You got to talk to that part of them.
Yeah.
Right? So working with a lot of people who are, abusing substances, or even as a life coach, how do you get to that part of them?
You have what
because it comes to...
You have what I have. So it's very difficult to explain. But when you're with somebody, your wife has it too. Your beautiful wife has it too. When you're with somebody, you see this wall. It's not a real wall, but there's this energy level that's in front. And before you can really talk to them, you realize that you need to somehow lower what that field is. So my personal way is by admitting the things I've done and humor. Everybody has their own way. Sometimes it's calmness and clarity. Sometimes it could be a number of different things. But I need to lower that wall so they go, this guy is real, he's authentic, and he's not going to hurt me. He's not going to say anything that I feel judged or make some curriculum for me that's too difficult to obtain. So it's really building trust.
Now, I love that you said that you build a humor around it because, for example, me, I call myself out too. Like, you know, I have no shame in my game. You know, if I'm, you know, weak in one area, I'll joke about it. You know, it's something that I'm aware about, and I'm willing to, you know, admit my flaws. Now, she sometimes says don't do that, but still love you. But like, for example, I love that you say that because I think that's something even, for example, like a lot of successful people do because they're willing to admit their flaws, right? And most people want to hide it. It's that emotion, remember, that we were talking about. Like, for example, look at Eminem, right? What did he do? He started making fun of himself so nobody had any fuel to attack him with it. So, I mean, I think that's honestly the best route to do it because you're being truthful. You're bringing your real self out.
Yeah, and it also doesn't, like, I see your wife's point too, right? Like, so it's almost like building a bridge together, right? You and her, me and whomever, which is, I understand that idea of you don't have to constantly admit your flaws, but if you, like Michael Jordan, it was known that he was not the greatest outside shooter earlier in his career. He didn't stop shooting. As a matter of fact, what he would do is in the off season, shoot and shoot and shoot to the point that they didn't even think he was going to go for the dunk anymore.
Well, that's what it
right?
is. It's owning it.
It's owning it.
Owning it.
It's owning it.
You have to face that truth, you know, own it, you know, be real about it to other people, and then at that point you're accepting it.
Exactly.
You're just becoming more self-aware, and then you can actually do something about it because the first step to solving a problem is realizing there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So when you could actually verbally express it, you know, you're putting it out there, you know, it shows that you're not afraid to, you know, have weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is the biggest thing, in my opinion, that most people have. They don't like to show their emotions, right? But I think that it's actually a superpower to be able to show your emotions because at the end of the day, people are relating through those emotions. That's why your mess is your message, right? So there's that emotional attachment when you can actually go ahead and speak to somebody and tell them, you know, the adversity, the trials and tribulations that you've been through. You know, they could relate because they're saying, hey, you know what? I'm in a similar situation. I think that's really how you are able to make impact through that emotional connection, but it's that willingness to go ahead and bring that emotion to the table.
Yeah, you got to be available and you got to be real. I love that. You know, when we first met, I opened up to you. I felt very comfortable with you and your wife, very comfortable right off the bat. And I admitted, you know, it's good to even say on the podcast that I'm very close to finalizing my divorce. Now, is there a part of me that's in pain and healing from this? No doubt. No doubt. Is there a part that if someone's like, well, he's getting divorced, I can't hire him as a coach? Okay, you know I can bring you from here to here, but if you look at that as a failure, that's on, I can't. I understand your point of view, no big deal. But I do know that whatever I've been going through is going to help another person.
100%.
I know that through and through. So I like being able to talk about it. I don't want to seem like the guy, and I know you're the same way. I never want to be a fraud. You know, I never would ever want somebody to hear, you know, Adam Jablin, #1 best-selling author, created the Hero Project, but did you know he's getting divorced? You know, I don't want that, you know. So, you know, just this is who I am.
Bringing your true life to the table.
I love that you say that. Bring your true life to the table. You know, here's my game, you know, and if you want to step on the court, I'm ready to.
So I'm curious though. So with all the clients that you do help,
Yeah.
right? What do you see the reoccurring theme as the reason for their either substance abuse or, avoiding their own emotions?
If I could sum it up, and you have to forgive me for using words that I'm comfortable with. When I say God, higher power, universe, if you're okay with it, spirit, I want somebody to feel comfortable. But for each person, what they have done is over-exaggerated their own power, over-exaggerated their own willpower, and under-exaggerated the power that are around us. As in, I don't know how any of these cameras work. I don't know how Zoom works. I don't understand how we could FaceTime one another. When I was growing up, that didn't happen. I don't understand radars and how they're having planes land right now, that there are whales speaking underneath the ocean. You're probably gonna have a baby monitor in your room. I don't understand how any of these powers work. And yet I use them all. So each person has over-exaggerated their own power and think they're in control. It's the funniest thing. And I go back to that too. Like, I'm in control, and when we start making this marriage between them and spirituality, them and the divine, them and God, that's really the major flaw. They really think everything is on their shoulders. And when you have that much pressure, who the hell doesn't want a cocktail?
Yep. So taking it into spirituality and what I would call awakening, right? What do you think it takes for somebody to actually wake up? Because I feel like everybody in society is asleep.
Me too, bro. I love that you said it like that. I'm going to use a cliche. I think it's people like you and I, people like your beautiful wife and the team that you've built. I think what's happened is we've become Morpheus in the Matrix, and you just have to offer the red pill and pray that they take it, because everybody has free will, and that's the greatest gift. You have so much free will that you're allowed to believe that there is no spirit, that there is no God, that there is no universe, that you are the end all be all, and that there's no meaning to life and you're going to die. You're allowed to think whatever you want. That's free will. It's a choice. And I think it's people like us on the front lines that are there to offer the red pill and to ask them, are they willing to see how deep the rabbit hole goes? But we can't take away their choice. 100%. And a lot of people, like you said, are going to take the blue pill and stay asleep. And we'll be here for them when they're ready.
Bro, I'm going to go a little controversial on you.
Please do.
Right. So I love that you said the blue pill and the red pill, right? Yeah. So in your opinion, real quick, before I jump into the rabbit hole. Okay,
Yeah.
What is the red pill for you?
The red pill is to understand that there is a much higher reality going on.
Would you call that the truth?
Yeah, the truth.
There's a reason why I said that. So ultimately, one thing I learned throughout my journey, I don't know how much you know about my story and the night I spent in jail and things like that, which we could talk about later on.
I would love to.
But for me personally, music woke me up.
Okay.
I got through to a point in my life where I was addicted to finding out what was going on because I thought somebody was talking to me through music. And the funny part is there was a quote that I heard and it said, when you're happy, you enjoy the music. When you're sad, you understand the music. And I was going through that point of depression in my life where, it got to a point where I didn't want to live anymore, but it opened up my eyes to the truth, right? Now, not all the music that you're listening to is going to be putting things on the line, but there's a good amount if you weed through it and you actually read the words that people are actually saying. To me, it's like a riddle, the truth.
I love that. I don't think that's controversial at all. I think we're saying the same exact thing. I don't think the red pill comes in only one version of the pill. It could come in music. It could come with a child being born.
Well, here's what I'm going to get into now.
Go ahead.
Ready? So it goes back to the control factor.
Okay.
Right? Why do you think people aren't facing their emotions and the truth? Because whoever they are, doesn't want us to be in control when we really are.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. Sure. Look, That's a whole other podcast.
Yep.
Now we're going into government.
I went down the hole.
And yeah. No, I understand. I understand. And if they accept the red pill with you and I, we could take them as far as they want to go. Sometimes they just want to know that it's going to be okay.
100%.
But if they were interested in finding out who's feeding them this information, you and I could have a lot of fun with them. But I know exactly what you're talking about. My mentor, he's like a spiritual father for me. His name is Dion DiMucci. He's a rock and roll Hall of Famer, and he's stayed relevant to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s to today. His album is #1 pre-sale right now on Amazon. With Bruce Springsteen on it, and Joe Bonamassa, and Eric Clapton, and I mean the list goes on and on. Paul Simon, Bob Dylan loves him, and he always talks about the power of music and how it helps communicate, and what he was able to do in a song, because he was from the Bronx, Italian guy from the Bronx. So they didn't speak about their emotions, but if he wrote a love song, the other guys could feel it and be like, oh yeah, I get that. I know exactly how he feels. But they didn't sit in the bar talking like that. You had to show masculinity, machismo. So I love what you said about music, and it makes a lot of sense to me.
So has music had any impact in your life?
Absolutely. When I was broken and I couldn't process my emotions healthy, and I couldn't cry, I would play Coldplay's Fix You by myself so I could finally mourn my grandmother dying. And there are certain songs, I have a playlist that are just to get me in a certain mood. His lyrics and his tempo and his way of, lyrically he's amazing.
There's a reason why I'm bringing all this music stuff up too.
Please, yeah.
Because personally for me, when I was, listening to all this music and I hit that very low point, it woke me up to basically going ahead and cutting everything off cold turkey.
That's amazing.
Like, yes, I know that, with drugs and alcohol and things like that, there are withdrawals. But when you wake up, I feel like the wake up is stronger than the withdrawal.
I couldn't agree with you more. I feel eternally grateful that you were able to wake up like that from music and never go back.
So going back to the Hero Project, though,
sure.
and you, because this is about, me.
It's relatable, here. That's all. It's relatable. It's a common language.
100%. But I kind of want to hear more about your clients' experiences, the things that they've gone through, the aha moments, the light bulbs going off, as you were saying. So I want to dive deep into that.
Sure. Each time it happens, it's a little bit euphoric, but I have a client that, boy, he came down here, he was really broken, and he was a mess, and he'd lost his girl. He had plenty of money in the bank, and he was dealing with some old garbage. We really took a look of what the heck was going on with him. Everything that he had done up to this point, this is a very successful man, had been because he was chasing his mother that he felt abandoned him 50 years ago.
Interesting.
And he went to meet his mother for the first time. And when they saw each other and the tears and the idea that it wasn't abandoning him, it was, I was sacrificing you guys for the greater good because things were not good in the house. And your father turned you on me. And it was better for me to disappear than to torment your life. He felt so watching him come through his hero's journey to the point that he's in the middle of writing his book that a publisher already grabbed, and USA Today was already interviewing him, and I couldn't be more proud. I had a guy that sold a multi-million-dollar business and was lost and thought he wanted to be the world's greatest dad, and was drinking around the clock and was embarrassing his kids. And one time he went to go pick up his son and he passed out in the car. And meanwhile, would love his bank account, And for him to finally confront what was really going on with him, and he had similar past stories to you and I. He was bullied in school. He was all of these, he had a wandering eye, all this stuff that he never really dealt with. He thought he had dealt with it by becoming successful and putting muscles on his body, but he didn't deal with the emotions of it. He covered it up. He disguised it. I was a great disguiser. I didn't want you to see that I was the insecure fat kid. So let me try to look like Sylvester Stallone to you, or some different guy. I was in the 80s, whoever it is now. Let me look like that guy, because I don't want to be teased anymore. So I've had that. I've had a woman that, I love her. She had a husband that was extremely abusive, said she was like, what are you, this constant cheerleader? You're this rah-rah for everybody. Finally left into a divorce to actually go back with another guy, repeat the same behavior, just to realize that thing in her, that spark in her, that she always saw the best in other people, was because now she's one of the top personal trainers and coaches in the country for body transformations. But she was under everybody's thumb. So those are 3 off the top of my head. I can go, depends on how many you want, but each person comes out, Batman, Thor, Iron Man, Wonder Woman. They come out and you see these miraculous, you get to see their lives through your eyes.
You know what's, it just keeps coming back up in my head right now, because no matter what, all the superheroes, right, as we're speaking here, it all plays back to emotions.
Yeah.
And, being from where we both came from, bullied in school, etc., it was in a 50 Cent song, and I was talking about this on another podcast as well. It's always the person that you least expect it, right? You ever heard the line from 50 Cent song, and he goes, "Damn, homie, in high school you was the man, homie. The fuck happened to you?" Right?
That's like that's his original album, isn't it?
It's one of his original albums.
Yeah.
And my concept towards that was just that, the kids in high school, the cliques, the little boy and girl groups, they got accepted. Then, they're always, having that sense of acceptance, right? They get to the real world, and what happens? They get rejected. So the kid who was getting rejected as growing up, he knew how to deal with that, and when it got to the real world, it didn't faze him. He just continued bringing out his true self to everybody. He was in tune with his own emotions from a young age. The people who got accepted never really understood emotions, so when they come to the real world, they don't know how to handle problems, altercations, situations, adversity, right? So I love the concept with the superheroes. Every story that we're going through here goes back to emotions.
Everyone.
It. And then once they, faced it, unlimited power comes to you.
Unlimited. Look, I was telling you and your wife before that it's the way my body or my mind processes things. It's like it's a way of me understanding what I see in people and going like, oh, they remind me of like this guy. And you remind me of Michael Corleone, the guy with like smart.
Someone give me a cigar.
Calculate. Yeah, but your emotions are under control, but you are in tune with them. That's what I wanted to say before. You're in tune with your emotions, but you have them under control. I have a lot of clients that are in tune with their emotions and can't control them. Maybe too many.
Well, if they're in tune with them, that's a start, because they're aware.
Oh, yeah. Awareness is great. Thank you. 100%. 100%.
So just to let you guys know.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for saying that. But you have a great control over your emotions, and emotions are a superpower. So I used to be afraid of my emotions.
Well, the way I look at emotions, emotion is energy, right?
Yeah.
And you can even express emotion through the tone, right? And how do you do that? I always tell everybody, for example, I'm going to take it to sales and then wrap it back into this. With sales, someone gives you an objection, right? What happens to a typical salesperson when they get handed an objection? They get insecure. And you can even just, pick up on body language, etc. And, I think that most people don't realize how they're coming off when they're feeling certain emotions. And I think that it takes time. You have to disengage from all the noise. Really get in tune with yourself, as we were talking about, to to really understand how you can actually leverage certain emotions to, obtain the results that you want and build your true life.
Well, I love that. I love that you said that. I love that about you, because think about it. I've done this with many, many clients. When I know what they're about, I take them into we go to a movie together. They think they're hanging with their coach. And what I show them if it's a good, I make sure the movie's good, that within 2.5 hours, they just experienced all those emotions and they were still their name. I was still Adam, but I was crying when he lost the girl, and I was happy when he beat the bad guy, and I was afraid when the bad guy was coming around the corner. And in 2.5 hours, I went through every single human emotion, but the whole time I was Adam. And like you said, if you're able to control it, to almost be in tune with your emotions, but how did you word it? Divorce from them a little bit.
Well, no, you have to disengage from the noise, external, and get in tune with the internal, which is being in tune with your emotions, right? Being self-aware about it. Everything that we see, how do we know it's real? Through feeling.
Yeah.
So you have to face the emotions so that you can actually face life head on and capture it.
Let me give you an example of how spot on you are. When I'm working with Dr. Rob Kelly, we use this example with certain clients because this happened. Let's use you as an example. We got a phone call that Mike's dad passed away. We got the phone call. And we went to tell Mike. And he was destroyed. And everything in him that day, just everything went black. And then we got the phone call that we told the wrong Mike.
You made it real for him.
You know what I'm saying? Like the power of your words, the power of what's happening. Your like you said, it's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful stuff we're talking about here.
Yes, sir. Look, most people are letting that external control what's going on internally, and I always tell everybody take control of what's going on internally and manifest and create what you want externally.
I'm so happy you teach people that. I'm so happy that's what you're about.
It all starts within.
It all starts within.
And even in my book, we all have greatness within us, but it's up to you to go within and bring it out to the world.
And that's the red pill.
Your emotions out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the game. That's the game. And I like that you and I coach people through this, because you and I had to navigate these waters for a long time alone. I would have killed for a coach. You kidding me?
You know what I think differentiates us? Because here's the thing, look, you can go get, somebody's advice, whatever, but we actually did the work on ourselves, which is allowing us to bring that truth, and that story of us doing it ourselves gets them to relate, and that's how inspiration's actually created. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all about them owning their true power, waking up, and becoming, it's not even becoming. When you wake up, that's who you really are. You're in a dream. You're sleepwalking. So I love what we do.
Was it Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or which one is it? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream.
You better have those more on call, by the way, because little guy's coming out any minute.
Oh, yep.
And
I'm about to be really woke.
Yeah, you're gonna be woke, but boy, it's delicious, man. Don't let anybody tell you. Yeah, you'll be tired. Okay. Look what you built. You were probably you've been tired before. You and your wife are gonna be rock stars. I think that little boy is the most blessed little guy in the world.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
So Adam, if somebody wants to work with you, get more insight on your coaching, where can they find you?
Yeah, well, I made things as simple as possible. So it's Adam Jablin across the board. It's
you heard it here.
Yeah, my website's adamjablin.com. My Instagram is Adam Jablin. LinkedIn at Adam Jablin. Facebook at Adam Jablin. And
man, I gotta get as simple as you.
Well, I did that because I did a lot of drugs and alcohol, so you never know. If I had too many ones, I could space out. So at Adam Jablin, you could find me. It's very simple for my brain to figure out, and we'll talk, and hopefully we'll be a fit.
Make sure you guys go follow him. And Adam, I appreciate you coming, man.
Yo, man, thanks for having me.
Yes,
what a
sir.
good time.
Yes, sir.
What a good time. you.